Hi, I'm Willie Myette from pianowithwillie.com. I want to welcome you to this lesson on rhythmic trifecta. All right, so now what do I mean by rhythmic trifecta? First of all, trifecta is, a win or like a, something grand. And this is pretty cool what you can do with rhythms. Now, why is rhythm important? This is where I start off all students, is with rhythm. The reason for that is that rhythm is the basis for everything that we do in music. If we didn't have rhythm, then we would simply have some really cool. Okay, well, now where do we go? Well, there's no rhythm, so that's it. We got that real cool chord, right? But now we got nothing we can do with it. What about? So with rhythm, now we start to add something to it, and now it starts to come alive. So rhythm is, I like to say, rhythm is king, all right? Rhythm is everything. If you have good rhythm, then you'll be surprised what it is you can do. You'll also be surprised, don't tell anyone, you'll be surprised what you can get away with. When you're improvising, you're playing, if the rhythm is solid, you could kind of fudge some of the notes, all right? Not that you want to, but when you're playing on a gig, playing live, you're gonna make mistakes. It's just the way it is. But if you have good, solid rhythm, those mistakes get covered up. That's the difference between sounding like a student at the piano and sounding like a professional at the piano. Okay, so let's go through this rhythmic trifecta. What I've done here is I've started with 3 rhythms, and what we're going to do is we're going to vocalize each of these rhythms. If you're not familiar with vocalizing rhythms, I encourage you to take a look at my Mastering Rhythms Volume 1 and Volume 2 lessons, okay? There's a vocalization technique that I've come up with that works extremely well for rhythm, all right? If you learn that technique, your rhythmic playing is going to go through the roof. All right, so the first one is we have 4 eighth notes and 2 quarter notes. It's D, ba, da, da. Now you could play this on the piano, you can clap it, do whatever you want. I suggest you do both. Try clapping it, try playing it on the piano. Play any note, just play a single note for right now. You can do it in the right hand, you can do it in the left hand. We're gonna move on to playing it in the hands. But for right now, it's just a matter of getting the rhythm. The main thing to do though is vocalize that rhythm. Now, you might be sitting, in front of your computer at home, wherever, and you're like, I'm not going to vocalize a rhythm. I'm not going to be saying dibas and das. All right, you don't have to. Say it under your breath. So see what I did? See how I mouthed the words? Can't hear it, all right? So, di-ba, da, da. Notice that the das have those little dots over them, because normally when playing quarter notes, if we're not playing in a legato, if we're not playing like a ballad, if we're not doing some kind of ballad, if we're playing more swung, then it would be short. All right, so typically those quarter notes, when swinging them, we would detach them a little bit. So we won't go like, that would sound a little weird. All right, so you notice that the little dots are over the quarter notes. That means that, that you play them short. I had the music, I was going to show you the music. There is sheet music for all of this, and there's going to be a form beside or underneath this video. I encourage you to fill out that form, right, or click the Get Sheet Music button and download the sheet music, all right, that goes along with this lesson. All right, so anyway, if we clap the rhythm, we have D, ba, da, da. Now, I'm not going to get into why Ds and D-bas and Das. I go through all of that in the Mastering Rhythms lesson, all right? So if we do it under our breath, try that with me. Let's try that 3 times together. Ready? Go. D, ba, da, da. D, ba, da, da. All right, good. That's the first rhythm, right? So you want to try and memorize that. Just keep saying it over and over in your head. Rhythm number 2. Da, triplet, di, ba. Triplets, right, are very common in music, especially in jazz and blues, right? So here we have this triplet, but we vocalize it by saying triplet, all right? So triplet. So da, triplet, D, ba, D, ba. Again, da, triplet, D, ba, D, ba. Playing it on the piano, ready, go. Da, triplet, D, ba, D, ba. If you want to play it along with me, try playing G. We'll play it together and we'll have a nice little harmony there. Ready, go. Da, triplet, D, ba, D, ba, da. Triplet, D, ba, D, ba, da. Triplet, D, ba, D, ba, da. Triplet, D, ba, D, ba. All right, good. Now, rhythm number 3, it's triplet, D, ba. All right, notice that ba at the end. I open my hand, right? Because we're not going to do this. Triplet, D, ba. I'm sorry. Triplet, D, ba, and just kind of like hold it over and, you know, kind of flop away. Unless, of course, we decide that we want to tie it into a half note or something, right? But if we want to just get that, that rhythm as is, it'd be triplet, D, ba. And I just let it go. Triplet, D, ba. So there's a little there's a little bounce off of that last eighth note, the ba. Triplet, D, ba. All right, open it up. Okay, so let's go through all 3 of those rhythms one more time. Rhythm number 1, ready, go. D, ba, da, da. D, ba, da, da. Number 2, da. Triplet, D, ba, da. Triplet, D, ba. 3, triplet, D, ba. Okay, so now let me do it again. Actually, let me put some space in between it because that might be a little confusing to follow that. So let's try rhythm number 1. I'll slow it down a little bit for you as well. 1, 2, ready, go. D, ba, da, da. Try it with me. Ready, go. D, ba, da, da. Okay? One more time. Ready, go. D, ba, da, da. Good. Let's do rhythm number 2. Ready, go. Da, triplet, D, ba, ba. Let's try it again. Go. Da, triplet, D, ba, ready, go. Da, triplet, D, ba. And finally, rhythm number 3. Let's try it. Ready, go. Triplet, D, ba. Again, triplet, D, ba. One more time, go. Triplet, D, ba. All right, good. All right, so now those are our 3 rhythms. Now, like I said, the Mastering Rhythms lesson has a bunch of other rhythms that you can utilize as well. Also, the Piano Basics books have a bunch of rhythms in them as well. All right, so now, what is the trifecta? What are these 3 grand ideas, these 3 wins that we can get with rhythm? Well, the very first one is technique. Right now it's still springtime here. It's a little, you know, a little chilly. My hands are not all warmed up. So if I was going to like sit down and play or like, you know, go to a gig, I'd want to warm up a little bit, all right? I want to work on my technique. So we have rhythm, and now we're moving to technique. Now, within technique, you can see I have this C minor chord that I'm working here. And what I'm doing is I'm applying each of the 3 rhythms to that C minor chord. So, and it's just a C minor arpeggio. So it'd be pinky, 4th finger, middle finger, 2nd finger, thumb, and I would cross over 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? So now typically how I would practice an arpeggio is just, you know, going up and down, right? Now, that's fine, and you should do it that way, but what's the problem with doing that? Or, you know, what is it that you're not gaining by doing it that way? Well, the thing that you're not gaining when you play your arpeggios that way, or scales, you know, just going up and down, you know, is that you don't normally play like that in a performance. Like if you have a C minor chord and you're going to like do something in the left hand with it, which I'll show you in a little bit, you want to just like da, 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 go up and down like that in 8th notes or in triplets or 16th notes or whatever. You would add some type of unique rhythm to the notes. So you wouldn't just play them up and down like you would normally in a scale. So why is it that we practice that way? Right? Now, one of the reasons is that it's just a little bit easier to just, boom, set it up, go ahead, do it in 8th notes, quarter notes, whatever, you know, go up and down, okay, now move on to the next one. And as teachers, we kind of leave it up to you in some way as students to, all right, well, you go ahead and, try some different stuff on your own, okay? Because we want you to, start to be empowered and start to come up with your own stuff. But you might need some help here and coming up with some different ideas. So here's a great idea that you can apply to scales, to chords, whatnot. Have a rhythm, apply that rhythm to the notes of the chord, of the notes of the arpeggio. So here, the very first one I have is dee ba da da. Now you might say, well, wait a second, you didn't go the full 2 octaves here, right? You just, and that's great, right? I'm going to show you why. Typically, when we do this, what's going to happen is, and I'm sure that you felt this before, eventually your hand starts to feel that pattern, right? Your hand starts to feel the pattern of the arpeggio, of the scale or whatnot, and then it becomes what? It becomes autopilot, doesn't it? So now you think less and less about what it is that you're doing, and your body takes over because your body physically knows what it needs to do. Now that's not a bad thing, because if we had to think about everything that we were doing at the piano, when we actually sat down to play, our heads would explode, all right? So it's good that we're on autopilot. The problem, though, is when we want to start using some of these techniques in other things like arranging, cocktail piano, improvisation, jam sessions, blues, whatever, worship service, we're trying to improvise behind somebody. When we're trying to bring these ideas out at that point and we're doing something different than what we've practiced, well, guess what? It all falls apart because we haven't practiced it. So this is why we take this rhythm, this unique rhythm, we practice that. Then we have a different rhythm, a different rhythm. So what we're doing is we're constantly practicing these new things and creating new patterns, adding new tools to our toolkit. So now, the tool that we've gotten here is that we're working on the crossover, but we're not moving on. So we actually have to stop right here on our fourth finger, which is a little bit of a challenge. All right? Now we go on to the second rhythm. We have da, triplet, dee, ba. Now we stop on the second finger. Da, triplet, dee, ba. Da, triplet, dee, ba. Okay, you can feel that already in that left hand, trying to get the stretches in between those fingers, trying to improve that accuracy. And the last one, triplet, dee, ba, triplet, dee, ba, triplet, dee, ba. Now, each of those 3 examples is very different than just going. Okay? If you don't believe me, try doing that, then try each of those 3 examples, and you'll see that there's little minor changes in the hand that makes it a little bit challenging. Little change in the brain, too. You're trying to, oh, that's right, I got to stop there, So working on your chords like that, your arpeggios, you can do the same thing with scales. Dee, ba, da, da, dee, ba, da, da. Something like that is great because what you're doing is you're focusing on getting over that middle finger, right? The cross, right? That cross in the left hand is where most students have trouble. So now you have a rhythm here that focuses just on that cross. Okay? You're stopping right there, so you're really just starting to focus on working on that cross. All right? So that's a little benefit that you get just by applying that rhythm to the scale. Okay? So you can see how there's all of these subtle little changes and benefits that you can get by following this approach. Now, of course, we don't have to just do it on a C minor 7 chord. We can, there it is on F, on G, on A. Woo! All right, so you can see this is a really a wake-up call for that left hand. You could really work a lot of nice stuff with that left hand. Do each one 3 times. Yeah, my hands are cold. didn't do A 3 times. There we go. All right, so I just went up C all the way up to B. Right? You could bring in the black notes as well if you want. There's going to be some different fingering there, okay, which I'm not going to cover right now. I do cover those arpeggios. I forget exactly which lesson it was, but there is one of the lessons in the main site in which I cover all of the arpeggios. All right, okay, so that's the first trifecta. Number one is applying it to your technique. Now, number two is song application. So now I just took the song, just the first 4 measures of the song Misty. Now, great tune, I have a lesson on that, and then, if we just take some, let me play it very simply. And it goes on from there, right? Now, the thing to notice in Misty is that E flat major 7 chord and the A flat major 7 chord. Listen to what happens. Dies. Dies. I mean, it just dies there. It's like the rhythm just, it just evaporates. There's nothing going on. I got a whole measure in my left hand of E flat major 7. And I get emails almost weekly about what can I do to like liven up that left hand? What do I do in the left hand? Do I just play the chord over and over again? Obviously, that doesn't sound all that good, does it? So what can I do in my left hand? And I would say, all right, well, you start to break up the left hand, and you start to think more melodically in the left hand, just like you do in the right hand. Okay, yeah, that's great, Willie. So now what does that mean? All right, what I have here is an example. Let me play the example for you, and then I'll break it down. So I have, sorry. Oh, that's right, it went down. Can we do that again? So now what am I doing? Pay attention to the left hand, all right? I'm going to do it a little slower for you. All right? So what's going on in the left hand? This is what I want you to do. I want you to, when I play that left hand, just try and vocalize that rhythm, okay? Even if you don't know how to vocalize, you can just da-da-da-da-da, all right? Da 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 da. What does that sound like in the beginning there? Triplet, right? Triplet di ba, triplet di ba. And lo and behold, which rhythm is it? Of course, rhythm number 3. So I'm taking rhythm number 3 and I am applying it to that E flat major 7 chord. Now, what notes did I choose? Oh, I really went out on a limb here, and what did I choose? The root, the 5th, the 6th, the major 7th, and I went back up to the root. Okay, so I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, I didn't go out on a limb at all. I just chose chord tones. I could have even gone so far as to just take just the E flat major 6 chord and go up to the root, or even up to the major 7th. So, right, that would sound nice as well. So, root 3, 5, 7, then back up to the root. Okay? So it's real simple. Triplet di ba, triplet di ba, triplet di ba. Right? On A flat, triplet di ba, triplet di ba. Right? So again, taking the rhythm, applying it to notes of the chord. Now immediately, what that does for me is that just livened up the left hand. That just like made that come alive. And really, I didn't do all that much. I took a rhythm I already know, I applied it to the notes of the chord. There it is on just the basic, it's not what I have written, but it's just the basic major 7th chord, block chord. I mean, that sounds nice. That sounds a lot better than... it's like kind of like it just sits there and you're like waiting for it to do something. You know? Nice to have some motion. Yeah. All right? So that is trifecta number 2, how you can start to apply these concepts to songs. So pretty simple left-hand stuff going on. It's nothing all that complicated. If it seems complicated to you, just kind of sit with it for a little bit. Think about the main concept. Okay, Willie took a rhythm, he applied it to the notes of the chord. Okay, really didn't change the notes of the chord, didn't change the chord, no tritone substitution, none of that stuff. Just simply took a rhythm, applied it to notes of the chord. Now, really knew the rhythm. Got to know the rhythm, all right? If you're like kind of like tripa-la-dee-ba, no, it ain't going to work. You has to be like tripa-la-dee-ba. You got to know the rhythm. You got to feel that rhythm. That's where, starting with number 1 there, that technique stuff really helps you to get that rhythm under your belt, okay? All right, now, number 3, applying it to improvisation. Now, if I take this same song, Misty. Here I have E flat major 7. I'm going to go to B flat minor 7, E flat dominant 7th, A flat major 7. Check this out. So I have now. That's a nice sounding improvisation. I mean, it's nice lines, kind of weaving, going up, going down. Okay. So what did I do? All right. Take a look. Rhythm number 1. Rhythm 2, rhythm 3. That's it. Rhythm 1, 2, 3. All right, I took exactly the same rhythms that I started this lesson with, and I applied notes to it again. All right. Notice the left hand is real simple, just whole notes and half notes. Okay. E flat major 7. Okay. I played it as an E flat major 6. We won't get into the semantics of why, but you can do either or, major 7 or major 6. When you're going to start on a root, all right, sounds better to use a 6th than using the major 7th. And then what do I do here? What notes are those? Going right up the major scale. These are all notes from that E flat major scale. And then where do I go from there? Right? This is a 2-5 going to A flat, so this is all the A flat major scale. If you want to know more of that stuff, take a look at the analysis and memorization lesson. That's a real important lesson if you want to understand the analysis of songs and how to actually use that for your improvisational benefit. Right? So, so all that same, this is rhythm number 2. And then rhythm number 3, tripa-la-dee-ba. So the point here is that not doing stuff that is overly complicated. I am keeping it simple. Right? Now, it seems complicated when you look at it, when you kind of like, step away from it. If you looked at the music, you'd be like, whoa, yeah, yeah. And like I said, do yourself a favor, download the music so that you have this, all right? Because the rhythms are all written out, the vocalization and everything. So you look at the music and you might say, wow, this looks complicated. But when you really stop to take a look at what's going on, it's really simple. So what I ask you to do is stay with me on this. Like, just say to yourself, this is easier than I think it is, because it really is, all right? Trust me on that. The more you start to think about this as, this is really not as difficult as I'm probably making it, the more it's going to start to unlock for you, right? Because the more you think that it's difficult and complicated, and now you start getting those thoughts of like, oh, I'll never be able to do that, or oh, I can't do that. Not true at all. You most certainly can do it. I see students that I've been working with for a couple of months, and man, just within a couple of months, the change in their playing is amazing, right? Because they basically dove into it and believed that they could do it, and they are. So you can do it as well, all right? So think much more simply about this stuff. Take the rhythm, apply it to some technique, then see if you can apply it to the song, right? And it could be any song, it could be really any style. You could use these techniques in other styles as well, right? It doesn't have to be Misty. It doesn't have to be a standard. You could come up with your own song, and it doesn't have to be the whole song. Try just taking one little spot. Try finding one of the standards that you're working on. If you're into cocktail piano or you like the solo piano stuff or whatever song you're working on. Find that one spot that just dies. We're just like, blah, like you get there, there's no motion, you don't know what to do. Okay, well all right, let me think of a rhythm and let me apply some notes to that rhythm. Might not be the right notes. That's okay, right? But at least if you start with a rhythm and you apply some notes, now what have you done? You've at least done something, rather than get there and be like, oh man, this just dies and I don't know what to do. And it's also better than just like, playing the same chord over and over and over again, okay? So this gives you an opportunity to start to think a little bit more musically, start to think more like an artist. Now you're thinking of lines. Now you're thinking as a creator, right? And that's where you want to be, is you want to be thinking like that artist, creating something, right? Everyone can do it to some degree. You're not going to probably be able to do it to the same level as I have, because I've been doing this for over 25 years. So once you get to that point, then you'll be able to do it, okay? But it's okay. You don't have to do it like me, and I would never suggest that anyone play like me. You want to play like you, right? You want to find out what the musical creativity is locked within you, right? And then start to get that out. These techniques help to unlock that. These techniques help to make it a little bit easier, because now you have something to hold on to, rather than just simply saying, okay, hey, guess what? You got a measure there. Go ahead and fill that measure up. Go ahead. All right. Have fun. Yeah. It would be the same thing as like if I said to you, hey, I want you to write a story. Write me a story. Well, that's kind of difficult, because, how long should it be? What should it be about? But if I said to you something like, I want you to write me a story that is 10 pages long. I want it to be about this. And at the climax of the story, I want this to happen. All right. Now it becomes a lot easier, because you have some guidelines. This is what these techniques are for. These are guidelines to help guide you through this process. Improvisation, like I was saying at the beginning, you could get away with a lot of stuff when you're improvising. This is what happens even if I just use the chromatic scale, right? So, right? Actually, that rhythm was a little wrong, right? So there it's like, it doesn't sound perfect. It sounds a little bit weird, but it's something. It's a lot better than, right? Okay. Now if I play that chromatic scale again, I just went right down the chromatic scale, taking those same rhythms, but now that actually sounds cool. Start to speed that up. Now I would probably just not end on the A. I'd end on the A flat. Right? So that chromaticism comes into your playing quite a bit, right? So again, that rhythm, taking that rhythm, strong rhythm, got to be strong with the rhythm, okay? If it's like, no, ain't gonna work. You have to mean it. That's where the vocalization comes in. If you vocalize those rhythms, I can all but guarantee you, if you're really working on it, like I asked you to work on it, I can all but guarantee you that your rhythm playing is going to become much stronger. Because now what's going to happen is, instead of your rhythmic playing being up here, it's going to be in here. This is why we vocalize. Where's the sound coming from when you vocalize? It's in here. Now you start to feel this rhythm. It starts to resonate from within your chest, So you got D, ba, da, da. You can move around a little bit. I talk about that in lesson 2, just like be loose with it, Last little thing, this is a little advanced thing I wanted to show you before I end on this. You can also bring that chromaticism into the left hand. So check this out. D, ba, da, da. So I like doing that as well at the end of an exercise. So take any one of these exercises. I'm just taking the number 1 technique, and I'm playing that first C minor 7 block, D, ba, da, da. And I just go up to the very next note. It could be any note, but I just go up to the very next one, and I play that chromatic scale down as fast as I can. do it on D. Right? So you see, it's just a nice way of now I'm kind of combining two different things together. You know, I love doing that in practicing. Combine different things together. E flat. Ooh. Yeah, I can keep going down if I want. I don't have to stop. You know, I can go up if I want. Right? See if you can stop on that E flat. Right? So you get the idea, right? So bringing in some of that chromaticism. All right, so anyway, I hope that this lesson was useful to you. If it was, I ask a couple of things of you, all right? One, please download the music, all right? Just so you have that music. There's no charge for the sheet music. Do yourself a favor, grab that. It's a nice resource to have. Number two, there's going to be Facebook discussions underneath here. Please leave your comments. I love to hear what it is that you think about the lesson. I'd love to, get your comments. If you have some questions, put them down there as well. I'll do my best to answer them, or someone else from the Jazzedge team will answer it for you, okay? So please leave your comments and your questions below the video. Number three, we're going to be doing an Earth Day special next week, okay? I'm going to kind of keep it under wraps for right now, but we're going to be doing a special next week in celebration of Earth Day. So if you would like to make sure that you get that email, the best way of getting on that list to get that email is just download the sheet music, okay? Because when you download the sheet music, it will confirm your email address, and then we will send you the information about the Earth Day, okay? Of course, if you never want to get email from me, in every email that I send out, there's an unsubscribe link. Please go ahead and unsubscribe. I only want to give out the information to students that really want to get it from me. So if you'd rather go study with someone else or whatnot, I completely understand. That's fine. I think my stuff is the best out there, but it'll be for you to decide, okay? So if you want to take yourself off, you can do that way, all right? I do not want to spam anyone. I don't want to give the information to people who really want to work with me. All right. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this lesson. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up over the next couple of months at Piano with Willie. So anyway, I will see you in the next lesson.